today's video, I wanted to go ahead and talk about changing colors when you're making your amigurumis. And this is when you're working specifically in the round. There are a couple of different ways that you can do this. The first way is the standard way, and as you can see here, it does create a step. So a lot of times you'll hear it called the stair step, or you'll hear it called jogging. So if it has jogging, with jogging, this is what it's going to look like, where you can see that split right there in the color. The other way is without jogging, and this way, what it does is it creates almost a ramp effect as opposed to a drop off. So it's not as noticeable, and at a glance, when you look at them together, you don't see a huge difference, but you can tell that this one is more of a slope as opposed to a big 90-degree angle. So I prefer to use the second method, but I do want to show you both because I want you to know what the differences are and know your options as well. So let's get started. We want to go ahead and finish our prior round until we get to the last stitch prior to the stitch marker. So this is the last stitch of your round. Go ahead and start it as you normally would. If you're doing a single crochet, you're going to go in underneath both loops here of the braid, yarn over in the back, pull that loop forward, and instead of yarning over again with the green, you want to pick up the new color at this point. So I'm going to do an orange so that you can see it better. What you want to do is, here's the tail of the yarn, and this is the working yarn. Create a loop, go ahead and slip that over your hook. Hold the ends of the yarn with your back two fingers, just so you can keep it tight, and pull that new color through the two loops left over of the green, the two that were left on your hook. Now you have your new color ready to work for your next round. You finished your prior round with the green, and you can go ahead and move your stitch marker to start your next round. Okay, now go ahead and separate the two. What you want to do is, at this point, since you don't need this tail and you want to keep it tight, what I like to do is actually weave it in now so I don't have to worry about it later. So you're going to just lay it over the top of your braid, and you're going to single crochet around it so that it's locked in between the stitches. We're going to go ahead and make a single crochet into the next stitch, starting the new round, just as usual, but we're working over that tail, so that way when we yarn over and we pull that through and we create our single crochet, it's locked in between the stitch that we just made. We're going to do that for about 6 to 8 stitches just to make sure that it's really tight in there. Okay, I'm going to take the tail, pull it towards the back, and then go ahead and continue on single crocheting all the way around. At any point you can go ahead and snip off the extra length of the tail because you don't need that anymore. And just continue on with your single crochets. We're going to go ahead and do one more round of single crochets, and then we'll switch back to the green. Okay, we've gone ahead and done another round. Next, we're going to go ahead and switch back to the green that you've left behind, this tail here. That's our working green yarn. So we're going to do just like we did before. So go under the braid, yarn over with the orange, pull forward. You've got 2 loops now in the old color. Now let go of the orange and pick up the green. We're going to yarn over from the back and pull that through the last 2 loops of the orange, and then take your orange tail and just pull that tight so that way you keep your stitches nice and tight as you go. And put your stitch marker onto the new stitch, and then go ahead and single crochet around. Go ahead and do one more round of single crochets in the green. So in the color change that we just did, you can see that there is a 90-degree angle where the color change starts and ends. This creates a split in the stripe, and that's what's called jogging. It's also sometimes called a stair step. It's a very harsh break in the line that you're making, and so it doesn't look very clean, So what I want to do next is show you guys how to do a color change without that jogging and let you see what the difference between the two is. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've gone ahead and I've crocheted, this is the second row of the green. We're going to go ahead and go back to the orange, but I want to go ahead and go without the jogging. So we started off just the same, like we're going to do a single crochet. We yarn over in the back and pull forward, so that gives us our 2 loops of the old color. Then we want to go ahead and grab our new color, so get your orange from the back, yarn over, and pull through those other 2 loops and pull the green one tight in the back so that way your stitch stays nice and tight. So that part is the same. You've attached the new color. You can move your stitch marker now to your new stitch to start your next round. This is where it gets different. So instead of doing single crochet into the next stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch. So you yarn over in the back, you pull that forward, and you just pull that through the last loop on the hook. So that is a slip stitch. Let's do that one more time, in case you haven't done too many slip stitches. You go under the braid just like you do for a single crochet. You yarn over once in the back and pull forward. That's the 2 loops on the hook. And then you take that second loop and you just continue on pulling it through the first loop. And that's your slip stitch. Now you go ahead and single crochet around as usual. Okay, I've gone ahead and finished that round. We're back here where there was the slip stitch. It could be a little tight to work into, but go ahead and work in as usual, doing your single crochet. And go ahead and work single crochets all the way around again. And then we'll do another color change that's jogless. Okay, we've reached the end of our second round. So let's go ahead and do another color change in the green. Do your single crochet as usual, but instead of yarning over with the orange, we're going to pick up our green, yarn over from the back, and pull that through the last 2 loops. That changes our color back to the green. We're going to go ahead and, instead of single crocheting, we're going to go ahead and do another slip stitch. So we yarn over from the back, pull that forward. We've got 2 loops. And then go ahead and pull that last loop through the first loop. That does our slip stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and single crochet around as usual. Okay, we've come to the end of that round. Let's go ahead and do one more round of the green. Again, when you work into the slip stitch, it's going to be a little tighter than it is working with the single crochet. But you're going to go ahead and work into it anyway, doing a single crochet over it. And go ahead and single crochet around. Okay, I've gone ahead and done the 2 rounds of green single crochets. So here are the 2 different types of color changes. On the bottom we have the jogging one where you have that stair step and it's more of a harsh angle and it has a split in the line. And here's the jogless one where you did that slip stitch and it creates a bit of a slope, but that's the only way you would know you did a color change. You can see that the stripe itself continues. There's no harsh break in it, which is what's really nice about doing the jogless one. And anytime you don't need the color or you want to use other colors to change into, you can always cut the end and weave it in just like we did in the very beginning with the end of the orange. You can do that at any point, and that way you don't have to worry about weaving in ends later. You just go ahead and weave it in as you go. But since I was just going green, orange, and continuing on with that pattern, I didn't weave in the ends. I hope this answered any questions you might have had about how to do color changes. If you have any further questions, though, please feel free to leave them below in the comments. I am happy to answer any questions you guys have. And let me know what you think of the difference between the 2. This is the color change that you see most often, actually, is with the jogging. But I wanted to show you how it can look when you have it the jogless way, because I think it looks a lot better this way, actually. So let me know what you guys think. Which one do you prefer, with jogging or without? And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks, guys. This guy out here so I can show you. You can see from the front, you don't see any of the color changes. But if you flip it inside, that's where you'll see the sloping. It's because I hid it on the inside. So I tend to be a perfectionist, and I don't want those kinds of things to show, obviously show, and so that's why I would put those. If it was just 2 legs, for instance, on a doll, then I might hide those, you know, on the inseam, or you could hide them in the back. That would be fine too. But what you see from the front is what I think is most important, to not show any of the color changing, if you can.